Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're doing well and ready to do some mobilization, some strengthening, and some lengthening of, drum roll, your glutes. Yay! We've been doing a lot of activation work of the glutes lately, so it's always a good idea to release them as well. I will be using a ball today to get into my glutes. You could use a dowel instead, or a broomstick, um, rolling pin, wine bottle, though be careful how vigorously you sit on it. Um, yeah, lots of different options. And this is sort of my favorite 1, 2, 3 thing to do, right? Because if you're able to mobilize a little bit into a muscle first, it makes the muscle fibers a little bit more lubricated, makes them flow and work with each other a little bit better. So then we get to strengthen it. And after we strengthen it and kind of get our brains targeting that area of the body, then we can get into lengthening it. So I hope that sounds good. As always, I like to have other props around as well, just in case. But yeah, go ahead and grab a ball, or I point to my own broomstick. Yours might not be in that corner of your room or whatever you need, a dowel. So if you're using a dowel, it needs to be on an angle, kind of like if you're sitting like this, you're making a V, right? The point being kind of at your tailbone and the edges going out. Um, but aside from that, it's pretty much you're just going to roll on a foam roller. Ooh, foam roller. That's another thing you could use, or your dowel. I like the ball. It just gets a little bit deeper. So we're going to do one side at a time. I'm going to start with the right side. Doesn't matter what side you start with. And just going to bring whatever implement you were using underneath the one butt. And then you take some weight into your hands. And maybe you roll around a little bit. Maybe you think, you know what, that's a little bit awkward. And it is. Maybe you're not getting a lot of sensation. In which case, you could cross and take a figure 4. So this is a lengthened position. I don't want it to be too deep of a stretch, but then you get a little bit more mobility to really get in to the glutes. And of course, as soon as I start recording a yoga class, the street cleaning machine goes by. I don't know if you can hear that or not. The thing I like about using a ball is that you can kind of go everywhere, right? Any direction that feels good. The dowels are good too, or foam rollers, but it takes a little bit more work to get into the spots. And then you can take some, holy moly, a little bit of abduction and adduction of the leg, or even like this sort of movement, right? So you start to cross hatch the muscle fibers, and that really gets into the glutes. And I'm just going to keep talking, and hopefully the sound of my voice will distract you either with its dulcet tones, or will annoy you so much that you won't feel the sensations in your butt muscles right now. You might go all the way over onto the side. Glute max attaches on the outer edge of the thigh. If you find an interesting spot, you can hang out. You don't have to just keep rolling and moving. But you never want to feel pain, right? If you feel yourself kind of backing out of it, then back out of it, right? Don't go so deep. But if you're backing out of it, you can't get the release. Or rather, I mean, if your body is fighting against it, then you're not going to get the release, right? Okay, let's say that's enough for that side. And then unwind your legs, however you've been working this, and just sit. You can have your legs outstretched or whatever. I just want you to feel whatever you feel from one side to the other. Notice whatever you notice. Maybe you don't notice a difference. Maybe it just feels pleasant to not have a tool underneath your butt. Okay, flick your eyelids open. Let's switch sides. This side I know is going to be the terror side for me. All right. And then ease into it. You might start with weight in both feet. Maybe you go into a sort of figure four-ish, right? Or it could be crossed over. It doesn't have to be a deep, deep stretch. Sometimes it's harder to get into the muscles when they're in a really lengthened position. Anyway, sometimes it's easier. You just kind of have to figure it out for yourself. And again, if you find an interesting spot like I have, you can just hang out for a little while. So it's kind of like giving yourself a deep tissue massage. And it's the thing I like about this is it's like the biggest, meatiest muscle group in your body. So you can go a little bit deeper without fear of injuring yourself, right? It's not like you're massaging your shin muscles or even, anything along the vertebrae. And you might keep rolling around and finding other spots. I just know I have one or two spots on this side, so I'm just staying still. And then, it's a good way to recognize how we react in moments of intensity. If we're able to breathe through it on the yoga mat, then it helps us, breathe through moments of intensity off the yoga mat, right, in the real world. And that's the sort of application that we can bring to our lives, right, from yoga. Last couple of moments on this side. Okay. And then gently remove the prop out from underneath you and put it off to the side. We won't need it again. And then just find a seated position again for a few moments. Maybe close your eyes and just notice, right? Feel what you feel. Notice what you notice. We're going to stay here just a little bit longer. And then start to observe your breath. And then gently flicker your eyelids open. And then make your way to hands and knees. And depending on how much you were lifting up your legs, you might have been doing quite a bit of weight bearing into those arms. So let's just start on hands and knees rather than getting into down dog. Let's move through cat and cow. Inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back. Exhale, round through your spine. So a few more of these, right? Just rippling through cat and cow, getting a little bit more movement into your spine, into the hips. All right. And then look to the top edge of your mat and then step into your standing forward fold. So yes, this is a lengthening stretch for your glutes, for your hamstrings. So we'll get a little bit of a release now that we've mobilized them. Not too long though. You can sway a little bit from side to side or bring blocks underneath your hands or even rest your elbows on your knees or your thighs. Make sure your knees are micro bent though, or even deeply bent. And then bend your knees. Slowly start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time. Knees bent the entire time. Chin tucked in toward your chest. So the very last thing to come up is your head. Take a couple loops of your shoulders up, back, and down. A little wiggle, noodle, or shake out. Bring your hands to your hips. Bend your knees. Let's take a few hip circles. One direction, and then the other. And then a little twist from side to side. You could stay with your weight planted on both feet, or you could shift your weight from side to side. Take it into more of a sway. I don't know why I can't say weight today. All right, and then shake it out. Feet hip width apart. I was about to take them together. That's the wrong activation. Not the wrong. Anyway, you don't need to know what is going on in my brain. Trust me, feet hip width apart. A little bend in or a little draw of belly button to spine lets it into chair pose. So hips go down and back. Right, tailbone down slightly till you feel your belly button engaged toward your spine, but you're not tucking under. Knees track out towards the baby toe edges of the feet. So imagine you have a piece of paper in between the balls of your feet and you're trying to almost turn them out to tear the paper. Right? You feel that firing up the glutes, the outer thighs, our outer hips. Hands in prayer. Can you sink a little bit deeper? Make sure that when you look down, you can see all 10 toes. Maybe even de-weight them. If you can't, send your hips further back. And then think hips low, heart high. Last couple breaths here. All right. And then stand up, shake it out a little bit. Okay, let's get into a little bit more strengthening. Obviously, that was strengthening for the glutes as well. I'm going to turn to the side. And then send your weight to your right foot. A little buoyancy on that supporting knee. You can come onto the toes of the left leg, or you might just pick it up. And then take a few pulses. Again, toes could be on the floor, or you might pick up that left foot. Just pulses of the supporting leg. Maybe you kick your heel to the bum, lean forward, keep the pulses going. Wow, wobbly. Toes could come to the earth. And just little pulses. Bring that left leg forward again. Slow it down. Bring your right arm forward. Inhale here as you exhale. Start to reach the left leg back. Left arm comes forward. Bend the supporting knee. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, reach. So a few more of these on your own time, on your own breath. Same arm moving forward as the leg that's moving back. One more here. And the next time you reach that leg back, pause there. Keep the knee bent. Bring your arms to cactus. Again, your toes can be on the floor. You're still doing 99% of the work. You're just giving yourself the grace of stability, right? I don't care if your leg is off the floor. So go where you need to go. All right, buoyancy on that supporting knee. Inhale here. As you exhale, take a little twist to the right. Lift the elbows high. Inhale back to center. Exhale, twist, open to the left. And then center. Once more each side. Whew. How's that right glute feeling now? And then twist to the left. And then center. And then charge that supporting leg. Inhale. Bring that lifted knee all the way forward and through. Lift it higher, higher, higher. Step it down. Shake it out a little bit. Sometimes you need kind of like a reminder for the muscles to release. And then let's try that on the opposite side. Weight to the left foot. Again, a little buoyancy on that supporting knee. If your knee's not bent, your glutes aren't working as much as they could. Toes on the right foot rather, or maybe you pick up the right leg and then take a few easy pulses. Now I say easy. All I mean is that, there's ease in it. It's not like you're doing giant pistol squats, right? Maybe you kick your heel to the bum, lean forward, keep the pulses going. Bring your right knee forward again, or toes to the floor. Inhale here, left arm comes forward now. And then exhale, right leg goes back, right arm comes forward, bend the supporting knee. Inhale, lift back up. And exhale, bend the leg and reach. So a few more of these. It's almost as if you're trying to run through jello, but staying on one leg. Last couple here, right? Really feeling those glutes fire up. And the next time you reach the right leg back, pause there. Again, your toes could be on the floor. If you need a little break, give yourself a little break. Bring your arms to cactus. Inhale here. Exhale, twist to the left, wrap the outer left hip back. Keep that knee bent. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist to the right. Whoa. And open. Inhale, center. Last time each side, twist to the left. And then center. And then right. And then center. And then charge your supporting leg as if it's not already working. And then bring that right knee all the way forward and through. Lift it higher, higher, higher. Step it down. Oh. I don't know if you're feeling it as keenly as I am today, but holy moly. Okay, shake out the hips, right? Little kind of noodle. And then take your feet. Some days, man, it just hits harder than others. Okay, take your feet wide, toes turned out. And then on your inhale, sit down into a wide squat. So we're not going all the way down. Right? Hands could be on your knees or your thighs. And we're just going to stay here for a little bit. But I want you to press your knees back. Now you can be totally still, or you could take a little bit of movement. At any point, if you need to straighten your legs, back out of it, then back out of it, and then sit back down. Despite all appearances, this is not a boot camp class. This is just yoga. All right. And then inhale, come all the way up. Shake it out a little bit. Turn to face the long edge of your mat. And then take your feet wide. Turn your feet parallel or even slightly turned in. So you want your heels wider than your toes. Little micro bend or even a deep bend on your knees here. And try not to press your feet away, right? Hug the legs back to the center line. So you feel the adductors working a little bit here. Belly button is fine. Shoulder blades on your back. Inhale here, and as you exhale, start to come forward in a hinge. And then maybe you come down even more. So a wide leg forward fold. This is a great place to bring the floor up to you, right? Using a block or a coffee table. Maybe your hands comfortably reach the earth. Maybe you play with the width between your feet. But again, only so far or so wide as you can go, while you can still feel like you're hugging your feet back toward each other, right? We're not working towards Russian splits. All right, we're still hugging the legs back toward each other. Some of you I know will be able to bring your forearms to the floor. That's cool. Maybe bring your hands behind you to your ankles. Right? Go wherever you need to go. Keep hugging the legs toward each other. Just a little release of the glutes. And then bend your knees a little bit. Bring your hands to your hips. Charge your legs. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. And then hold down the legs back together. Yeehaw! Shake out the legs a little bit. Sorry, I am clearly a little bit unhinged today. All right. Come back to the top edge of your mat. And then inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, come down to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake, or cat and cow. And then depending where you're on your mat, you might need to shift your knees back or walk your hands forward or whatever, but give yourself enough length so that on your inhale, when you shift your weight forward into your hands, you can come into your plank, either from your knees or from your toes. You could be on your fists or your forearms. Squeeze your bum, squeeze the tops of the thighs. Draw your lower ribs to the sky, not the hips, right? You're not piking, but you also don't want to just be hanging out. And then on your exhale, come all the way down to the earth. You can come down to your knees first. Little wiggle of your hips from side to side. And then untuck your toes. Press the tops of the feet into the floor. Tailbone to the back wall, belly button to spine. Inhale. Take a little baby cobra. And exhale. Release it down. A couple more of these. Now, why are we doing these? Well, it's back extension. We're not really working the glutes. But it's kind of to show you what we're not going to be doing next, if that makes any sense. All right, exhale, come all the way down. And then stack your hands or your palms underneath your forehead. And I really want you to press your forehead down into your palms or into your hands. And then you might come onto the toes of one leg. Doesn't really matter. It gets a little bit tricky sometimes. If you have a pillow or something that you can bring underneath one hip, and then go ahead and do that now. And then keeping your lower back totally neutral, I want you to extend the one leg up behind you and then lower it down as high as you can get it without getting into the low back. So it's tricky. And keep that low back neutral. And it's natural for the leg, the higher you lift it, to want to go out to the side. And that's, okay. Don't worry about it. Last one here. And then shake it out a little bit. If you've got a pillow or a blanket or something, I'm going to bring it underneath the hip, then shift it to the other side. And again, keep pressing your forehead down. Keep your lower back neutral, and then take those leg extensions on the other side. You can probably hear my breathing. This is, kind of intense work. Isolating just the leg, getting into the glutes. And obviously you can lift your leg higher if you let it go into the low back. So don't let it get into the low back. I want you to lift as high as you can with just the glutes. Well, on the hamstrings, right? There's a lot going on here. Shake it all out. Release. And then press yourself up to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. Okay. From here, take your right shin in front of you. Sometimes this is easier from downward facing dog or even just lifting the one leg off the floor. So sweep your right knee outside your right wrist. Shin comes to the earth. And then walk your back leg back and in a little bit. So we're working towards pigeon prep. Now, for whatever reason, if pigeon prep isn't where you want to go, then you can always bring your one shin out to the side and take a 1990 stretch instead. This is the one that I usually prefer teaching, but sometimes you gotta, change it up. Okay, so the right knee is outside the right wrist. The shin can be on whatever angle it needs to be on. The more it comes parallel, the harder it is on your knee. So don't worry about that, right? Mine is on quite, my knee is on quite an acute angle here. But the more you're able to walk that left leg in and back, then the more you're going to be able to open up through the hip flexors. And then hug the legs toward each other. Try to come up for a couple breaths before we fold forward. This is a great place to bring a block underneath one hip for a little bit more support. Maybe you feel like, this is a fantastic place to stay. If you'd like to get more into the glutes, though, which is kind of the name of the game today, then start to fold forward. So now you might be feeling this on the glutes on the right side, right? The outer right hip. Sure, you will also be feeling this into the adductors. Some of you might just be like flat here. You might just need to ease into it. This is also a great place to bring a block underneath the back, front of the hip on the back leg, if that makes a little bit more sense. And then if you're in 1990, you don't necessarily have to fold forward. You can come over top of the thigh a little bit more. But we're going to stay here for a little bit longer, just to really give those glutes a chance to relax and to release. Last couple breaths here. Okay. And then shift your weight over to the right side of the mat. And then maybe you're able to swing your left leg forward, shake out your legs a little bit, a little windshield wiper, which always feels like a nice massage for the glutes. And then we'll switch sides. So you might come to hands and knees or downward facing dog first. If you're doing 1990, then all you have to do is bring your left shin forward and your right shin out to the side. And then again, fold wherever you want to fold. If you're working pigeon prep with me, then left shin comes forward, plant your hands, and then sweep the right leg back behind you. Walk it in and back. Make sure this left knee is outside your left wrist though. And again, you might hug the legs toward each other and come up for a couple breaths. And then exhale slowly, fold forward. I forgot to mention it, but this is a cool place to bring a block underneath your forehead to give yourself a little bit some more support. If you don't have a block, but the mobility is there, you could bring your palms into prayer and then just rest your forehead on your thumbs. And again, we're going to spend a few more breaths here, just really letting the hips lengthen. Why don't I usually teach pigeon prep? Well, I feel like it's overtaught in classes, and that 1990 allows you to focus a little bit more on the glutes. For me, this back leg, my hip flexors are so tight that it's kind of impeding me getting into the glute stretch on this side. But also it's useful to change things up. So that's why we're doing this today. Last couple breaths here. All right. And then shift your weight over to the left so you can swing your right leg forward. And then take a couple windshield wipers of your legs or shake them out. And then you can grab the backs of your thighs here, or you can do a Pilates style roll down, but make your way down onto your back. And then once you're there, hug your knees toward you. Take them wide though, out toward your shoulders or armpits. You could stay here for happy baby. You might kick your feet up to the sky. You could grab the backs, the thighs, or somewhere along your legs, your ankles, or your feet. This is a great pose to help neutralize the spine, but also you might be feeling it into the glutes. And then when you're ready, make your way into your final resting pose. You could be flat on your back, legs bent, or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation. And as always, there's absolutely no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest, for a few breaths, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And let go of your breath control. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your neck or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.